Maybe when you first started running, you thought after the first few weeks, something would click, that your pace would improve, that your breathing would settle, and that running would start to feel easier. But instead, it still feels really difficult. And now you're sitting there not really sure if you're actually getting better. You're still showing up, you're still going for your runs, and you're still trying. But there's a quiet question in the back of your mind, and that's, shouldn't it feel easier by now? And there's a few reasons that this happens that most runners don't realize, especially at the start. One of the biggest gaps in running is the gap between expectation and reality. When people start, they expect progress to be quick. They think a few weeks of effort should translate into everything feeling noticeably better. But running doesn't really work like that. And that is because your body's adapting in ways that we can't actually see. So although everything does look the exact same, everything is changing. Early progress in running is often hard to see, like frustratingly invisible. But behind the scenes, your heart is getting more efficient. Your muscles are slowly adapting, and your body is learning how to move better, more coordinated, and way more efficiently. But none of this tends to show up immediately, and that's where the frustration may lie. This is usually where new runners start to doubt themselves, and unfortunately, where we lose a lot of runners. One of the most common reasons people don't feel like they're improving is that they're trying too hard. Every one of their runs feels like a challenge. They try going too far, too fast, way too soon. You head out for a run and you push yourself to a point that's way past feeling uncomfortable. I definitely fell into this trap, and you might have too, where you feel like effort is equal to progress. Like if you can run a bit faster or a bit further, that'll all help speed up the process. Like you'll catch up to the runners around you that little bit quicker. And if you can do that, you won't feel as awkward or as uncomfortable when you're out there running. And then if you do all of that, you'll definitely enjoy your running more. So you'll find yourself out there gasping for air, feeling like your entire body is shutting down, but you try to keep going. And what might seem crazy is that doesn't actually work in running, because you can't do a crash course and streamline the process. This is one of those things where you have to pay your dues. Otherwise, your body's going to shut you down. That may be through injury, that may be through sickness, but trust me, your body will find a way to slow you down. And we definitely want to avoid all of that. And just to be clear, too much effort, especially at the beginning, can be the thing that's slowing you down. And this is why easy runs are so important. And side note, when I first started running, I thought when people said easy runs, it meant somebody had been running for a long time and now they find running easy. Turns out, that's not what people are talking about. What they actually mean is running at a pace that you find easy. It's that conversational pace that we often talk about. And that is tricky at the start, but if you trust the process, it can be found. At the start, it might feel like the same pace as your fast walk, but with more arm movements. And that's completely okay. Forget about speed for the time being. I assure you, that will come. What we want to focus on now is doing things the right way. Because when most of your runs are done at a manageable effort, your body learns far more efficiently. You actually start to build up your endurance. Your recovery improves, and you put yourself in a position where you can stay consistent. And over time, all of that creates your progress. And this is a shift a lot of runners make later than they need to. Another factor that's easy for you to overlook is consistency. And don't get me wrong, I am well aware that the hardest time to be consistent is the start. That is when you can feel the least motivated, and chances are you don't have all the right gear. Like, you're probably out there running in your old tennis shoes, and that's uncomfortable, and they're giving you blisters. And on top of that, after your first run or two, that seems to be the time that every single muscle in your body starts to hurt. For me, when I started, it was my hips, my lower back, and even my shoulders and traps. If it was just my legs hurting, I'd completely understand. That makes a ton of sense, but I was blindsided by the rest of it. What I'm trying to say here is it's not easy, but with the right guidance, it is possible. Running once or twice a week is a great start, and if that's where you're at, that's amazing. Doing something is always better than doing nothing, so please keep going, and I'm here to cheer you on. Something common that does come up when I talk to new runners is sometimes with them running once or twice a week, it can feel like they're constantly restarting. And they've voiced and reflected that it feels like their body doesn't quite get the repetitions that they needed to really get going. Again, if you're running once or twice a week, that is incredible. But if you've been doing it for a little bit and you're trying to progress, maybe just a little bit quicker, and rather than feeling the need to question everything, you want clear signs of improvement. For most runners at any pace, running 3 times a week will do that. And again, this is for any pace, because this is not about being extreme. It's all about being consistent. That snowball slowly starts to grow, but you still have enough time to recover. And you don't have long stretches between your runs. And this is usually where people begin to notice a shift. A lot of people judge their progress by a certain pace. Usually they would have seen something online or spoken to another runner and got in their head that they're not a real runner unless they can run a 5K in under half an hour, or 25 minutes, or 20 minutes, depending what your algorithm's looking like. And please know, that is not the case. You do not become a real runner just because you can hit a certain pace. But you might have been through something similar, where you're out there looking at your watch thinking, I should be quicker than this by now. But pace isn't the best indicator for your progress, especially at the start. Better signs for you to be looking out for are not needing to stop as much on your run, recovering quicker than you used to, or actually starting to enjoy your runs when you're out there. And I know it's not easy, but we do also need to work on not comparing ourselves to other runners, because it is very easy to look at the other runners and feel like you're behind, especially when you're out there getting overtaken on almost every run. But what you're seeing when you're out there is just somebody that's further along on their running journey than you are. And this is definitely not a measure of where you should be on your running journey. And in your training, you might have had a similar story. When you're out there running, putting in a ton of effort, but you're not seeing the results that you were expecting. And that can feel like the most frustrating thing in the world. But please know, it is completely normal. And we've all been there. Progress in running is subtle. It usually looks like small, tiny, gradual, incremental changes. Things getting just slightly better over a longer period of time, rather than these big dramatic jumps that we're all hoping for. And these small changes are easy to miss, especially if you're not on the lookout for them. So if you are there feeling like you're not really improving, here's a few adjustments that you can make that will make a massive difference. Try running a little slower. Focus more on your consistency. Try to be patient and give your body some time. And pay attention to your effort, not just your pace. If you do this and keep showing up and allow the process to work, there will come a point where it all shifts. Your breathing will become more manageable. And with that, you might actually be able to hold a conversation on your runs. You'll run further without stopping. And on top of that, you might actually start enjoying your runs. So if you feel like you're not getting better right now, it doesn't mean that you're stuck. It usually just means that you're early in the process. And if you're a new or slower runner trying to figure this out, subscribe. I make videos to help running feel more manageable for everyone. And YouTube has picked this video as the one that you should watch next. So enjoy it, and I'm sure it will help.